history. Today is Thursday, April 29th. We are now on day 3 of this lesson where we are going to be looking at the economic issues in France that sparked the French Revolution. Again, it began in 1789. It was a political revolution inspired by Enlightenment ideas and inequity in France, and we're really going to see that inequity in today's lesson. We've been going over why this is a political revolution all week. I'm going to keep emphasizing that we're going to learn about this great change that occurred, which led to the overthrow of one government and replacement of leaders. I want to remind us of the 3 estates. You know that we have the first estate, or the clergy, the people who work for the church, like the pope or bishops and priests. The second estate, the nobility, the wealthy landowners and people with high status in society. And then the third estate, the commoners, the peasants and city workers, which I want to remind you that this is the group of people who are responsible for paying taxes. They're the people who are carrying society. They are also the majority of the population. They're 97% of the population, where the first and the second estate together make up the other 3% of the population. So these are the people. Yesterday we learned about absolute monarchy, and we learned about Louis XVI and the powers that he had, and that he was able to do whatever he wanted, and did whatever served like him and the upper class of France the best. So we saw sort of the political side of this, and today we're going to see the economic side of this. And to just have some context, France's government was in enormous debt, in part because the monarchs lived these very extravagant lifestyles. So what did they do? As we learned on Tuesday, and as we discussed again yesterday, they taxed the commoners / the third estate. Remember, the commoners were the group of people who were paying 100% of the government tax, even though they are the poorest people. So just to break the reasons down why, which we're going to look at these a bit closer. Part of the reason why France was in debt was because of the Palace of Versailles. It was built over the course of 100 years. If you look at this picture, it's ginormous, vast. Look at these huge gardens. Look at this huge building. So you can imagine that building it, the upkeep of it, and renovations, additions, very, very expensive. France was also involved in the 7 Years' War, where they were fighting their rivals, the British and other European countries. Wars are very expensive, and because wars are very expensive, the French were actually supporting the Americans in the American Revolution in their effort to defeat the British and to become independent from the British. So again, wars are expensive. They were spending a lot of money on these 2 wars leading up to the French Revolution. And then again, we have this very extravagant lifestyle. This is just a picture from inside the Palace of Versailles. It wasn't just the Palace of Versailles, it was also the clothing that they wore and the parties that they threw. And I'm sure that they did a great deal of traveling, so on and so forth. So it was this perfect storm of spending money on things that personally benefited the king and the queen, but also investing themselves internationally in wars between their rivals in Europe, on the continent of Europe, but also on the continent of North America. And then just our little glossary for today. Debt is defined as something owed to another person. So if someone, gives you a loan of $20, you are in debt to them for $20. You have to pay them back. And then extravagant is defined as spending too much or spending in a foolish or careless way. So now that we have that, we are started on day 3, step 2, where we are going to just do a quick watch and listen or read to yourself.